Hello, I'm Father Bob Roetzel, a member of the Mission Division of Stonehill College. And today I'd like to share just a few minutes with you to talk about why being a Catholic is important to me and why I remain a practicing Catholic. To begin with, I was actually born a Catholic when I was baptized into the faith as an infant. And I have remained a Catholic through God's grace. And because over the course of my life, through my experiences and education in various fields, I've remained convinced that the Catholic Church is in fact the one true church founded by Christ for our salvation. In studying the history of the Church, I believe that it has all those essential elements that Jesus intended to give his church in order that it could be the means of his continuing presence among us. There isn't enough time for me to discuss all of those essential elements, but I want to mention perhaps just one as an example of these special, unique gifts that I find in the church. The Catholic Church received right in the very beginning of its history the promise from Christ, and we know this from the Bible itself, that he would be with the church through the ages to guide and to protect it. And you'll recall he actually said, "I will be with you all ages to guide you, to keep my spirit to be with you." And that was a very important promise because it would continue his presence, his grace among us, even after he left our physical presence. And he did this by selecting pastors, people who could be his presence, who could represent him and guide us after his resurrection and after his ascension into heaven. And we know that he picked among those people Peter, St. Peter, to be the first chief of those shepherds. And here was the important promise that we find right in the pages of the Scriptures. He says and he promises Peter and his successors that he would be with them and would protect them whenever they were acting in his person as his shepherd, teaching in matters of faith or morals. He would protect them from error. And this great divine gift was passed and has been passed from one chief shepherd to the other down through the ages. Now that one gift alone, for me, is terribly significant because for me it's a source of assurance that I can rely on the teachings of the Church, guided by the Holy Spirit, to provide true answers to the many challenging questions that come up day in and day in, month in, month out, year in and year out in our real lives every day. The Catholic Church does not base its teachings on what the latest opinion polls may suggest or what's politically correct or in vogue. It has, in fact, stood alone sometimes in its witness to the gospel. And the teachings of the Church have remained those that it received and it's preserved since the time of Christ. And for me personally, that is extremely important, especially in this day and age in our society, when, as you know, we're impacted by the influences of relativism and subjectivism and people suggesting all sorts of truths, quote unquote. So it's important to me to have that source of truth that I know I can base my life on. Another important aspect of the Catholic faith that I value greatly is its balanced view of reality. You know, the Catholic Church has always avoided extremes and exaggerated views. It has never, for example, taught us that we have to choose between our faith and our reason, both being God-given gifts. Unlike some religions, the Catholic tradition has always taught us that our reason should be illuminated by faith. They are companions. That our faith should never contradict our reason. And so I find that very important to be able to draw on the fullness of what my mind can offer me, what my reason can show me about God and the meaning and the purpose of our life in the world. And then be able to augment that with the truths that our faith reveals. Another teaching of the church that I think is related to that is something that I think is very important for living our life the way God intends us to do it. And that is that the church has always maintained that grace is never in opposition to our human nature. Now, that's not always what other faiths and religions will tell you. But some faiths will tell you, for example, that the material world, our bodies, are totally corrupt, and that grace really can only apply to our souls. The Catholic tradition, on the other hand, has always recognized the truth that I can and I should respect my body and the rest of the created world, that that's the way God intended it to be. And the church explains that my human nature, although weakened by the effects of original sin, is still fundamentally good, and it's not to be shunned or disvalued. And that God, in fact, uses His grace to build upon what we have in our human nature to perfect it and make it better. And I personally find that comprehensive vision of the relationship of our souls and our bodies to be wonderful and healthy, both spiritually and psychologically. It encourages me to value and to develop my whole person, both body and soul. Additionally, I also value the church's historical reverence for the whole created order. You know, the church has always valued the arts. Throughout history, the Catholic Church has been a great patron of art and music and architecture and so forth. For example, look at the great cathedrals in history that were built by members of the Catholic Church throughout the centuries. And see there the great wealth of art that has been combined to join together the beauty of the material world with our worship of God. It's a wonderful synthesis of God's whole creation. And in the same way, the sacraments of the Catholic Church are extremely important to me because they do the same thing. They allow us to use the common materials of our world to experience the deeper reality of God's life. And so I can experience a relationship with God through water and oil, fire, bread and wine, in a beautiful pulling together of all created order to worship God. And so once again, it enables me to engage my whole self. I can use my sight, my hearing, my taste, my smell, and join them with my spirit in an experience of God. And finally, I love being a member of the Catholic Church because of the company I keep there. The Catholic Church is made up of a great number of people, both in heaven and on earth, that make me proud that I'm a Catholic. We have a long list of saints who are models of how we can live our faith in all kinds of circumstances. Not just one way, but in a variety of ways. And I find it inspiring to reflect on the way that they show us how in every walk of life we can aspire to holiness, which we're all mutually called to. And so the Catholic Church has given me a legacy of 21 centuries of heroes and heroines who inspire and also pray for me on my journey of faith. And so briefly, these are some of the main reasons why I am and I remain a believing Catholic. And I hope this has been of some value and meaning for you, and thank you for sharing the time, and God bless you.